of a Certain Age, Conversations with a Therapist and a Doctor. I'm your co-host, Judy Grant, licensed marriage and family therapist.
And I'm your co-host, Dr. Sophia Grant, board-certified pediatrician and board-certified child abuse pediatrician.
So before we even get into anything here, Candy, I just have to say the choice of yellow
I know.
was by accident.
Yeah, it was
We
not
did
on
not plan
purpose.
this.
Yeah.
But my sister and I have a tendency of doing these things.
Yes, we do.
So, yeah, wasn't a planned outfit.
Yeah.
But here we are. And Candy, I just wanted to share that yesterday I got some pictures from Aunt Patty.
Mm-hmm.
She texted me some pictures of her visit here to California a couple weeks back, and how nice that was to see her and Randy.
It really was nice because, you know, when your relatives get older, you see them less because they aren't as mobile. But Aunt Patty is a very spry 86-year-old. And it was great to see her, great to see cousin Randy, and great to get together with extended family and other cousins. Yeah. And then I while I was going, when we were planning to go to Tracy's house, I made just kind of the soursop sorbet because I'm like, well, Jamaicans like soursop. I didn't think it would be a hit. Didn't make that much. I bring it to the party, and it is the sleeper hit of the party. And then, of course, I was told from now on, this is what I have to make. And I used the sorbet maker that the kids got me for Mother's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was delicious and so nice and easy to make.
Yeah. No, definitely. I still have some of your lemon sorbet in my freezer. Love it. Eating it sparingly because there's not a lot,
right?
But just a little taste here or there.
Yeah.
Love it. So anyway, yeah, it was great to have the family together on multiple occasions when Aunt Patty and Randy were here.
Yeah.
And you know, I just feel so incredibly blessed to have the family that we do.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Without drama.
No
drama.
No drama. Nobody's fighting. Nobody's getting drunk. It's just like I mean, the drama was the sorbet. That was it.
Yes.
That was the extent of it. Yeah, it just feels really good. And we are really blessed to have, you know, families that just love being together.
Right. And the good news is we get to see Randy in a couple months when we go to Sweden.
Yeah.
So we will be hanging with our cousin again in Sweden when we go to speak at the conference.
Yeah.
All right. So Candy, what are we talking about today? What is Tusoka up to?
Well, we're talking about lies we tell ourselves. And we have a family friend who died years ago, and her expression would be whatever gets you through the night. And that was kind of translation for what do you have to tell yourself to feel good about what you're doing, or, you know, to continue on. And then I realized there are lots of lies that we tell ourselves. One of the lies that we tell ourselves is like, I can lose the weight. I'll fit into that dress. It will be fine. So buy the bigger dress, you know? But that's a lie that we tell. Can you think of anything off the top of your head?
So I actually have a list.
Okay.
I wrote some things down.
As do I.
But before I even get into the specific lies, why do we lie to ourselves? Why do we feel the need to do that? So I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking about the psychology behind that. And I'm thinking that a lot of the times the lies that we tell ourselves come from a place of self-preservation. Right? We're trying to protect ourselves. We're trying to protect ourselves from embarrassment. Oh, it wasn't that bad. We try to protect ourselves from conflict. We excuse behavior.
Yep.
that we ordinarily would not, engage in.
Yep.
And I think there is some real psychology to why we do this. But I think really, like, self preservation is key.
Mm-hmm.
Again, going back to Aunt Carmela,
Yeah.
whatever gets you through the night, it's like whatever I need to do for myself so I can continue to function and operate on a daily basis is what I need to do.
Yep.
And I think there are times we've all experienced them, like, okay, it's going to be a really hard day. What do I have to do to get through it? Right? So the lies help us to get there. I also want to point out that there are some lies that we tell ourselves that are, you know, not very deep, not very significant, but then there's some lies that can cut very, very deeply
Yeah.
and can have a significant impact on our mental health.
Yep.
So I want to hold off on those for a moment and just start talking about some of the common lies we tell
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. Um, I'm fine.
Yep.
That's one. Why do we do that, Candy? What is that
Um,
about? I'm fine.
I think lots of times we think we're fine. Lots of times we do think, and lots of times we tell ourselves we're fine. I recall, when I was raising the kids by myself in a new job and a new state, and you get over the initial kind of decline of the marriage, and then you continue on and you say, I'm fine, I'm working. And then I developed a psychogenic cough where I would have conversation and it was just like, and it was like I would try and stifle it, but I couldn't. It had to come out. And of course, I have a friend who told me it was psychogenic. I'm like, I have a health condition. And I came to realize that that was a result of stress. Another thing that happened, I developed palpitations. And I was telling myself I was fine, but I wasn't fine. And I had to wear a Holter monitor. That's when, you have the leads on and it monitors your heartbeat. And then I went to the doctor and he said, yeah, you're having this irregular heartbeat, but what's your stress level like? And that was like, put the brakes on that. Or what do they, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not fine.
Right.
I am so not fine.
But the I'm fine is really to placate those worries.
Like,
it's not that I can get over this. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
To make the stressors feel more manageable.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
I can do this.
If I had to sit down and say, okay, the husband's going to leave you. You're going to be in a new job. The job's going to treat you poorly. You're going to be in a new state. You're going to have no friends locally. You'd say, oh, I can't do that. But to get through that phase of my life, I had to say, I'm fine. I was suffering. My kids were suffering. And I didn't even realize to what extent until later.
And I think that I'm fine, after a certain period of time, it blows up in your face.
It does.
Because you're not fine.
Yeah.
And you might break down. You might, fall into a depression. There's so many things because you're tired of saying, you're tired of pretending that I'm fine. And you know what? It's really just shit right now.
Yeah.
And to say that and to own it, there is shame, there is guilt, there are all of these feelings around it. So again, going back to the concept of self-preservation, I'm fine.
Yeah.
How about, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll take care of that tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
That can wait.
Yeah, that, or, like with me, oh, I'm running low on gas, I'll get gas tomorrow. Get the gas now, because like I've done that where you're so tired from work, you're on your way home, you want to get the gas tomorrow, and then tomorrow's really cold and you have to pump the gas, and then you wake up late. Just get the gas. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, lots of stuff. I'll do it tomorrow.
I'll do it tomorrow.
Like my house is a mess because I keep on saying I'll do it tomorrow. I have a bunch of laundry I need to put up. I have,
Right.
so yeah, do it today.
But and that, of course, is about
Mm-hmm.
procrastination, but you're not going to use the word I'm procrastinating. No, I'm just going to take care of it tomorrow. It's
Mm-hmm.
fine.
Yeah.
And then it's fine. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time for that.
Oh yeah, that's one thing. I think people tell themselves they don't have enough time for exercise.
Yes.
That's the one thing you
Yes.
say. I'm too tired. I have the dog.
Yep.
I have this. I have to do laundry. But you have to
Yep.
make the time for the stuff that's going to make you feel better and preserve your life.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
And the time thing, and people say they're only 24 hours in the
yeah.
day, but you can, if you are motivated, squeeze in some time in order to make the time um, for those things. When I was getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to the gym, yeah, I was tired, and I don't have the luxury of going to the gym at 2 p.m. But you know what? Nothing's going on in my life at 6.
Hmm.
So you find a way to make the time.
Yeah,
But we can live with the I don't have enough time for years.
yeah. And you know what reminds me that I do have enough time when I get that screen report on my iPhone for how much time I'm
Oh my
embarrassed. I feel
gosh.
like it's
Oh,
judging me. Like,
yes, it is.
and I'm like, well, I might have been on the phone. I might have been online for 6 hours, but I was doing crosswords and that's good for my brain.
Right.
So, yeah,
Yep.
I don't really like that screen time report. It's just
I,
not,
I'm
yeah,
I'm not a fan.
yeah.
I'm not a fan. And it's funny because I am more on my phone before bed or when I wake up. I think it's like my easy wake up
Hmm.
routine. Get on, play my solitaire before I get out of bed, but that time adds up and I could be far more
It sure
productive.
does. But you know what? Some people will have a cigarette, some people will have a drink. I do my daily crossword and I love that. I think that
Right.
that's like a good, I don't see that as like I don't think that's detrimental like being on TikTok for hours, which I have done. I love TikTok. But I think something like, just playing a game, thinking of words and things like that. I don't think that's like
Right.
as bad as just mindlessly doing because it's not mindless.
Right. No, it
Am
isn't.
I lying to
And
myself
it's
by saying that?
hold on, because we also get those little pop-ups that say doctors say that 10 minutes a day playing such and such is good for your brain health.
Mm,
So I'm going to believe what those doctors are
yeah.
saying. um okay, this is a big one. I have to be perfect. Why do we tell ourselves that lie? Where is that coming from? Who told you you had to be perfect?
Well, I never told myself I had to be perfect. I really did not, because there's nothing more humbling than taking organic chemistry and you realize you're not perfect and going through medical school. But the lie I told myself was I can have it all. I can be a wife, a mother, a physician. I can do all of those things. Look at me. I'm doing all of those things. What I felt like is I wasn't doing any of those things well. And
Right.
you can have all of those things, but not at the same time. And I think women, we have that. When you're educated, you can have a career, you can have kids, all of those things. And something
Yeah.
suffers, whether it's you are away from your kids more than you'd like to, or
Mm-hmm.
while at work you're concentrating on your kids and then your spouse, or you're so tired from work and the kids that you can't be attentive to your spouse. um yeah, that was really stressful. And let me tell you something. I years and years ago, like the first article I ever got published was in an online magazine that is now defunct. It was Mommy Too, Too, and it's like, I'm not your superwoman. And
I remember that.
I I found myself like on the bed crying one time, and my body was just shaking because I was trying to do everything. And
Right.
you can't. And then women, it's not like you do the work, the kids, and you have your spouse. We're responsible for everything in the house, the meals, the supermarket, the Costco, the laundry, the dry cleaners, the banking. And it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And that was a very humbling experience, because then
Mhm.
I realized, no, you can't really do it all. And I went from full time to 24 hours a week at work.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that was like the sweetest time in my life. It was just enough work, but the 40-hour work week and having three small kids, it was really
Yeah.
difficult. It was really
Yeah.
difficult. And I was grateful for those. I don't know how many years I did that, but it was the best thing for my family at the time.
Right. Right.
Um, and I was really happy then. But that is some, I don't think men experience that, because they aren't, they don't take the kids to piano lessons
Mhm.
necessarily.
Mhm.
When I was married one time and I was super tired, and I was talking to the husband, and I said, "You don't even know where the kids' piano lessons are. You don't know where." And then he said, "Well, you can't do my job." And I'm like, "I have a job on top of this."
Right.
But men don't necessarily feel that burden. They go to work, they come home, and things are done for them if you have the
Right.
traditional marriage. But yeah.
So I'm gonna say the I have to be perfect. This can come from the way you were raised. This can come from the expectations of your parents, right? So your parents always expect perfection, the straight A's, the good kid, the so on and so forth. And then as you grow in your life, that expectation that they had of you, you now have of yourself. So you continue to try to be perfect. And we know there's no reality to
Hmm.
that. Here's an example of when I thought I have to be perfect. And it's twisted and it wasn't motivated by me. Um, when my children's father and I were in that roller coaster, um, not knowing what was happening with our relationship, the times when he was in the house, um, I would like, okay, before he comes home, the house is to be spotless. The dinner needs to be cooked. The children need to be bathed and ready in bed. And I need to look just so, right? Because I want him to walk in and think, oh my gosh,
Why
she's
would I ever
perfect.
leave this? This is perfect.
Right. She is perfect. Look at my children. Look at this house.
Hmm.
And that was all bullshit. That was
Hmm.
total bullshit.
Yeah.
Um, because it wasn't an issue of perfection. It was clearly his
Hmm.
issues. But I remember thinking like, how do I do that in order to hold my relationship together, which is so twisted and,
Hmm.
not a good thing. Definitely wears on you emotionally, physically. And today I'm in a relationship, but clearly a healthy one, where I know I don't have to be perfect.
Right.
I'm not making dinner tonight because I don't even feel like it. Or Rick will just say, sweetie, why are you putting yourself out? Just chill, you know? Or, come on, even Candy, there was this idea in my head that, as a woman, you go to sleep with this little, cute little nightgown on and your hair just so. I'm like, my hair gets dry on those cotton pillowcases. I need to wear my bonnet.
Hmm.
Um, and I need to sleep and take care of myself. So Rick sees me every morning with my bonnet when I'm going to bed, when I'm waking up, my head in a scarf. And so I was able to break out of that like destructive cycle of what I thought perfection needed to be in a relationship.
Well, let me tell you something. When you were with that guy, and I would be with you, and you would have to make a choice, you would agonize over decisions,
Oh
and you
God.
would be
Yeah.
so pained, and there would be tension on your face
Oh yeah.
because, and I was like, why can't Judy make a decision? But then I realized that you were worried about you were going through the mental hurdle. What's he going to say? What's he going to think? How's he going to criticize me? But I'm like, why is she agonized? And I came to realize it was over that guy.
Yeah.
While you're
For
trying to
sure.
be
And
perfect. Wow.
yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh
Um.
gosh. Poor you.
Poor me. I figured it out. Eventually, I figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
Got the hell out of there.
Yeah.
Okay. So another one. Money will make me happy. Will it though? Because if you're not, money will make life easier.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not kid ourselves. It will make life easier. It will allows for some, maybe some luxuries, maybe some comforts that you didn't have before, but will it make you happier?
I'm a lot happier now that I'm making more money. Um, I but because I can do things and I don't feel as
it
constrained.
provides it provides
Yeah, it
a
gives
sense of
you a
freedom.
level of comfort. However, um, like yesterday, I'm here and I'm in my house and I'm sewing and with the dog, and like I'm missing my kids. You know,
Hmm.
I'm missing my kids. So I it's not like I'm unhappy, but you can still feel voids even when you
Right.
have everything that money is providing you. You
Yeah.
still you can still miss things. You can, and then of course if you're uber wealthy, you'll have all types of people hanging around you, but they aren't truly
Hmm.
your friends.
Yeah.
So, to a certain extent, yeah, it gives you comfort. You can do stuff, but you don't look at your bank account and say, oh my god, I'm so ecstatic, I'm over the moon.
Right.
Yeah.
No, no. And just this week, Rick and I were watching a movie, just a funny comedy movie, but one of the characters was like, had a really um, good paying job, like really good, he provided everything for his family. It was great. It was wonderful. And he had this sense of like unhappiness. And at one point, his wife is like, you have everything that you could possibly need. So why are you still feeling this void? So, and of course, there's a whole arc to the story and how he comes around and he recognizes it, blah, blah, blah. But you can have that bank account, but if you're not feeling fulfilled, if
Mm-hmm.
you're not feeling settled, let's go back to my situation with that guy. If we had a ton of money then, I still wouldn't have been happy because he was still an asshole, right?
Uh-huh.
So the money, we try to say like, well, if I make this much money then I'll be happy, and then if I make this much money I'll be even happier, but you've got to find that happiness elsewhere.
True. Yep. But money
Yeah.
does help you feel better. It does too. Yeah.
Listen, I'm not gonna pretend that it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And when you want to go into the store and if you want to buy that pretty blouse or that purse and know that you can do that without having to worry or sacrifice something else, it is great.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of freedom that comes from, but it is not the root
Yeah.
of one's
Yeah.
happiness.
Exactly.
Um, okay, so I want to share a little bit about some of these other lies that we tell ourselves that could lead to really negative places. Okay? I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I'm not worthy.
Yeah.
And what that can do to you psychologically if you convince yourself that I'm not enough. And I remember back in grad school, they would talk about like the little bird on your shoulder and how one bird might be saying, you're not enough. You're not worthy. You're not good enough. And over here is the bird that's really speaking the truth and saying, yes, you are. But this negative voice often has a way of infiltrating so deeply that you don't believe the other birdie on your shoulder that's trying to validate that you are enough. It's that negative self talk.
Yeah, and I think women experience that in the form of imposter syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
um, because you know, we think that maybe they made a mistake by giving me this job. Maybe I'm not qualified. Um, and that's something that I've grappled with. Like, can I really be medical director of this place? Um, but then on the other hand, I kind of feel like if you don't have a little bit of imposter syndrome, are you stretching yourself? I think
Mm.
you should always kind of question, you know, you should always stretch yourself in a way that you're not 100% comfortable in whatever role that you have. Maybe not always, but you should be striving to achieve more and do more just so that you don't get complacent. I mean, what do you think about
Mm-hmm.
that?
No, and I think I had the same questions like, do I really have what it takes to do the
Mm-hmm.
job that I'm doing? Um, but I also know for myself, I'm always looking for like, let me try to address that challenge, or let me take that on so I can constantly be pushing myself. Let me push myself outside of my comfort zone. Um, but I don't think tell I know telling yourself that you're not enough,
Mm-hmm.
that is not a healthy thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
That will only just eat away at your self-confidence and your sense of worth.
Yeah.
So let's not do that to ourselves.
Yeah.
Let's not do that to ourselves.
Yeah.
um how about, there's something innately wrong with me? That's another lie that we can tell ourselves. There's something wrong with me. Maybe you're out there in the world and maybe you're looking for a partner, a companion, and maybe you're unable to find someone. And you tell yourself, well, there's something wrong with me. I can't do this. What is wrong with me? And again, what that can do to your mental health.
Have you told yourself that?
I don't think I've told myself that.
I haven't told myself that.
Yeah, I haven't.
You know, I feel like I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I don't think anything's wrong with me.
Yeah. Um,
What
no,
about
I don't.
in your marriage? Have you said something's wrong with me that I can't make this person happy?
Oh, in my previous
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh-huh.
relationship, no, I didn't think that then. I
Mm-hmm.
really didn't. Um, because I always knew like my worth, even
Mm-hmm.
though it came into question a
Right.
lot and I had to remind myself. But I didn't ask that question of myself, or I didn't tell myself that lie. But I can tell you, as a therapist, I see it. I
Mm-hmm.
see a lot of people come in and they think there's something wrong with them. What's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you.
Did they get that from their parents, or is that something that they kind of came to on their own?
Well, I think you can absolutely get it from your parents.
Mm-hmm.
Again, depending upon how your parents raise you, maybe they're constantly comparing you to another sibling, or telling you that you're not good enough, or telling you that you're not smart enough.
Right.
And then you take that into adulthood and you still kind of have that same mindset. It's so deeply embedded within you that you continue to believe that lie, right? And it takes a lot of time, self reflection, self awareness, processing to get out of that mindset and to recognize that you are good enough, or that there is nothing wrong with
Mm-hmm.
you. Um, yeah, but I've absolutely seen that, and I see how
Wow.
devastating it can be for people.
I didn't know that that was a pervasive topic for people.
Yeah,
Wow.
for sure, for sure. Um, Others have it together, and I don't.
That's one. You know, people. people look at me and say, Sophia, you have it together. I'm like, really? Really? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one thing I think maybe I've told myself, or more frequently, I find that people believe that of me. And I don't, I'm like faking it till I make it many times.
Hmm.
But it's, it's, it's perception, because people will think you are ideal and you don't think you're not. But yeah, that's very interesting.
But I think it's a lot like the grass is greener,
Mm-hmm.
right? They see like maybe this outward display, but they don't know what's going on inside of you.
Right.
And she's really got it going on.
Mm-hmm.
Or just and then just comparing yourself to that other person. But the reality is you don't know what's going on with that other
Yep.
person. You don't know what's going on behind those closed doors.
Yeah.
And so you need to really stop comparing yourself to others and thinking that they have it better off, because in lots of ways that person might be looking at you and thinking,
Yeah.
damn, they've got it going on. um, and so you just don't want to compare yourself to others. You don't want to try to keep up with the Joneses, because again, going back to the whole like money will make you happier, maybe
Mm-hmm.
the Joneses have a lot of money. Maybe they've got the car, the boat, they go on these vacations, and you look at it and you're thinking, wow, but are they happy?
Right. And quite frequently, like I've known people who have all the entrapments of wealth, and then you find out, they're paying the minimum on their credit card, their mortgage, they have a second and third mortgage. Yeah. So you never want to compare yourself. And we've talked about comparison before, and I just looked it up. Comparison is the thief of joy. It was
Mm-hmm.
said by Teddy Roosevelt, the 26th president. So, yeah, that's something that you don't want to compare yourself academically. You don't want to compare yourself monetarily with regard to your parenting, with regard to how you look, because there's always going to be something that you want to try and grab onto that you can't achieve. So, like,
Right.
yeah, that's not my,
Another thing about this, as parents, you'll compare your kids to other people's kids,
yeah,
right? And you'll be like, wait a second, they're doing what? They know their ABCs and they're 4 years old, and what's then you begin to question like your child's achievements, and you can do this, for their whole lives. Well, so and so has this great job, but my kid, so you can do this, and it's not healthy for you. It's not healthy
mm-mm,
for anybody in that situation. So again, if you're thinking they've got it going on, in all likelihood, they're thinking that of you.
yeah.
So please, please do not compare yourself to others, because again, this can wear away at your mental well being, and we don't want that.
I have
We do
one,
not want that.
a
What's
lie.
one?
It's too hard for me to start over. I can't do it. It's too hard. And you've started over
I did
and
in a
you
few
doubted
ways.
yourself. I remember when you were going into the interview and I told you you got this, and then you got in, you couldn't believe it. I'm like, why wouldn't you get into that program? Why? I mean, and I was like,
Right.
you're not an idiot. Come on.
Right. Oh
Um,
my gosh.
but people kind of stay stuck because they think it's too difficult to start over. I was about to turn 40. I was 39 when I did my fellowship in child abuse. And it's the best
Right.
decision I ever made. Thank God I didn't tell myself, because I don't think I would have been a happy pediatrician. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but people stay stuck, and they stay
Right.
stuck in relationships and jobs.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I worked with a woman who had been in a job, and she was there for maybe 19 years, and they treated her poorly. They treated her, and it took a long time for her to get the courage to start over again. And she's thriving,
Yeah.
absolutely thriving. So don't stay stuck in relationships and jobs, in your house, wherever, whatever. What you may have chosen a career that seemed like it was easier. Oh, it's easier for me to do this than what I really
Mhm.
want to do.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah,
And you made so many good points there, and I'm thinking recently two people at work asked if I would write letters of recommendation for them so they could go to get into a master's program, and I did for both of them, and they both got in. Um, and they both recognize like going back to school is not easy.
it's not.
Okay, you're up late studying, you're writing papers at all hours. It's not easy, but they know how important it is for them to start over so they can attain what they want in their careers. So I'm not going to downplay it and say, oh, go back to school, it's a piece of cake. Um, it takes a lot of motivation to do that, but I think when you recognize that you can and it is doable, you know, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. When I was in medical school, there was this guy who was, I went to medical school, I was what, 22? There was this guy who was 36. And it was like,
Mm,
what? He's in medical school? And he was married, had kids. But that dude always did well because I think with age comes maturity and you prioritize. And so, yeah, you need to build up a nice little network of support so that you can start over when you do decide.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right, so here's another lie I think that we tell ourselves, like I'm not pretty enough or I'm not handsome enough. And you're measuring yourself against a standard of beauty that's not realistic, or you're scrolling on social media and you see these photoshopped images and none of them are real. So, and think about this for our young people, our adolescents,
Yeah.
and how crippling that can be to them when they're looking at these images and they're like, oh, I want to look like that.
Hmm.
Um, and how hard that must be. So, I mean, I think we need to talk to our kids about that so they don't fall into that lie and start to believe that they're not pretty enough, handsome enough, whatever.
Yeah. And I think, when you kind of compare yourself with European standards of beauty, um, it's always going to be bad because in a lot of cultures, whether you're black, whether you're Asian, um, Filipino, they all want to be fair. Uh, and,
Mm-hmm.
there's lots of, in Asian cultures, when they go to the beach, they're in like a big
Mm-hmm.
hat and long, because they don't want to get dark because dark is unattractive.
Dark is working class.
How can my body that I was born into be unattractive? Imagine you look at
Right.
a baby and that baby is like a dark skinned, cute little chubby baby. And then it crosses your mind that, like, I wish the baby was fair. I wish the baby wasn't so dark. And that's something that I feel is pervasive in the Black culture because we've
Mm-hmm.
been programmed to
Programmed to
want
believe.
the long
Mm-hmm.
hair and the straight nose and even body shapes, the skinny
Yeah.
body and all of that stuff. And that is just rooted in racism. And I think a lot of that can be internalized, not that, because of the images that you see. When we were
For
growing
sure.
up, I remember my Barbie was blonde hair, and I just kind of was like, uh, this doesn't feel right. And then, when they started to make brown dolls, I was over the age of playing with dolls. But these
Mm-hmm.
messages are internalized, and you can't compare yourself. And I think something also that happens is you compare yourself to how you looked 10, 15 years ago. Because I looked at a picture of myself from like 10 years ago. I'm like, damn, I was looking good. Not like now. And it's just, yeah, it's aging. Aging is,
Yeah.
it's a blessing to age. Some people never get the opportunity to age, never get the
Yeah.
opportunity to have the gray hair and to live life fully. Yeah, that's something I think a lot of women. And then, in terms of advertising, we're taught that, our skin isn't soft enough, not supple enough. Our hair isn't, flowing down our shoulders. And all of that is from advertising. I don't
Yeah.
remember when it was a shaving company, a razor company. It might be Gillette. Years ago, years and years ago, American women didn't shave their arms or their legs, but a razor company said, well, we're making this money. What should we do? What should we do? And then they started to develop advertising that showed women weren't attractive if they had hair on their bodies. And of course, the sale of razors and everything went up. And we're shaving every hair on your body. I have so many people to manage the hair on my head. You have the head hair, you have the eyebrow person, you have the electrolysis, like 3 different people to manage my hair. And yeah, we're taught to hate our bodies how they are. So
Yeah.
I commend people who are just really comfortable and haven't had the desire to change anything. Because I've changed stuff.
Yeah.
I used to color my hair with henna, and now I'm so gray I'd just be a redhead. But yeah, that's something that I think many women grapple with.
Yeah. So, I think the point of us talking about the lies that we tell ourselves is just to reaffirm that they are lies.
Mm-hmm.
This is not rooted in reality. And we need to step back and ask ourselves, why are we saying this to ourselves? Where is this negative self-talk coming from? Why am I procrastinating? So we can better understand our motivation for these. And if we need to process, if we need to go to therapy to talk through these things, then do so, because those lies are not good for us. And as Candy mentioned earlier, it can manifest in a physical ailment.
Yep.
It can manifest in a mental health ailment. And none of those things are good.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're telling yourselves these lies, question the root of where these things are coming from. Question the motivation for believing this. And let's stop it. Let's stop it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll do it tomorrow. No, just do it today.
Yep.
I don't have enough time. Yeah, I can actually carve out a little bit of time.
Yep.
I'm not good enough. No, I'm absolutely more than good enough. So we want to thank you for joining us on this episode of Two Sisters of a Certain Age, Conversations with a Therapist and a Doctor. Candy, how can folks reach us if they're interested in joining this conversation?
Yes, email us at twosokapodcast@gmail.com. We are on Instagram, Two Sisters of a Certain Age. We're on YouTube as Two Soka. And please write a review, recommend to friends, listen to it with a friend, and you can have a conversation of what's a lie that we have told ourselves, and maybe start growing and changing, because that's really what we want to do. And hopefully, because you're a woman of a certain age, you put all of that negative self-talk behind you. But we are always going to be a work in progress. So check in with people you love and with people who love you to put you on the right path.
Until next time.
Bye, everybody.
No Longer Network.